Welcome to Crypto OGs.
Welcome to Crypto OGs. We are here at Singapore Token 2049 with a good friend of mine, Mr. Mo Shaikh, the CEO and co-founder of APTOS. How are you, Mo? Thank you so much for coming to the show.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And I thought we were going to do this entire session in Spanish, but thank God
you're
taking it easy
on
me.
Mi casa tu casa.
Muchas gracias.
So, I met you in Paris.
That's right.
And you have a beautiful family, but also start to get to know more about APTOS and about Petra, an amazing wallet, by the way, very fast.
Thank you.
It took me by surprise. And obviously, I didn't know about you. And then the more that I start to get to know you, the more I was getting interested about not only APTOS, about your whole career. So let's go all the way back, right?
Okay.
All the way back. Brooklyn, right? They go all the way to Brooklyn before you jump into crypto and technology. How was your teenage years? How you ended up as an entrepreneur? Let's go all the way back.
Well, I mean, if we're going to go all the way back, then we got to take it real back. But, again, first of all, thank you again for having me, and amazing to hear your story as well, to go from, the power of one camera on your laptop to now there's like 8 cameras looking at us. And so it does remind me of a story that's very similar to mine, right? Where, I was born in Abu Dhabi. My parents were originally from Pakistan.
Wow.
I don't think you even knew that part.
I didn't know that.
And my parents immigrated to the U.S., to Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
And I grew up in an area where majority of the neighborhood was Russian Jewish.
Oh, wow.
So for Muhammad Ali Sheikh, it's a very different environment. But I had an amazing childhood, amazing group of diverse people. And we also grew up very humbly.
Yeah.
I was the oldest of 5 siblings.
Okay.
My father worked 2 jobs. His first job was in a bedding factory, sewing bed sheets.
Wow.
And then at night he would drive a taxi.
Wow.
And I was always interested in when he would come home from his taxi shift, because I was curious, how much money did you make?
Yes.
Because we're on 4 forms of welfare. We're poor.
Wow.
So when he would come home, he would say, "Oh, I made $30 or $50," and I was curious, but you had $100 of fares. Why do you only have so much to walk away with? Then we realized, and that's when I realized, there's so many middle parties involved in the taxi game.
Actually, my mom was a taxi driver for a bit, and my uncles.
So you know this problem. So you know the situation, and so in the 1990s, you had all these different, very complex systems that didn't seem efficient. Fast forward to after I studied psychology and economics in undergrad.
Wow.
I ended up working in finance in New York on Wall Street, places like Royal Bank of Canada and BlackRock, and loved my time in the financial markets.
Yeah.
But even when I was in those financial markets, I realized even these systems are incredibly inefficient. So the same story, my father was going through, I saw in these legacy financial systems, but it's still stuck with me. There wasn't much I could do about it, but it still stuck with me. I also loved entrepreneurship the entire time, and I'll get back to that. One of my mentors at BlackRock, she was like, "Hey, you should go to business school, Mo." And I was like, "I don't know. I feel like I'm doing all right here at BlackRock. I don't know if I should go to business school."
Your parents was proud of you because you were making good money.
I wear a suit to work every day, and but I listen. I'm very fortunate that I listened to her. I went to business school. I met my wife, who you met, Skylar.
Yes, Skylar.
And after business school, I ended up joining Boston Consulting Group as a consultant and moved to Dubai.
Oh, wow.
So almost a little bit of a full circle to the Middle East story.
You went back where you came from.
That's right. And in Dubai, we had we were looking at all these different use cases. And blockchain was one of those use cases where 2 central banks wanted to send money back and forth using blockchains. And this is in 2016 when Ethereum barely existed, Bitcoin was not a thing, and I wrote a paper on the topic. Consensus reached out to me. Joe Lubin, one of the co-founders of Ethereum, and I had some great conversations, and I eventually ended up joining Consensus to work on what would become an amazing story for the Ethereum ecosystem, where Joe, Consensus did an amazing job of not only building things like MetaMask, Truffle, and Fura, but also all these ecosystem projects. That of course brought me back to my Brooklyn days, and I was in New York for that. while that was all happening, I was thinking, well, I really love entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I mean, back in the day when I was in high school, I used to sell CDs to the basketball team. I used to sell sneakers on eBay. I used to, I love the kind of
the hustle as well.
I love the hustle. It's in me from my my roots. But I never really thought it was a real thing to pursue. Or even if it was, it's like, are you sure you want to do this by yourself? Like, it's pretty risky. So I never felt comfortable taking the leap of faith. I eventually, from Consensus, when I was at Consensus, Facebook reached out and said, "Hey, we're building our own blockchain. Are you interested? And can you help us?" And I ended up joining
Libra, right?
Libra, that's right. Yeah. So the Libra project, or the DM project, as many people know it as, was very interesting for me, right? Like if you're in Colombia and I'm in New York, and you want to send me money, or I want to send you money, the power of that is extremely valuable. Right. You can change the way economies work. And so I thought that was a very ambitious mission. I thought it was a mission that resonated with me, going back to almost my roots. And I joined Facebook to work on this project.
That's crazy, yeah.
And so you mentioned you had a chance to see Petra and see how fast it was. Well, it's fast because we designed this blockchain to support billions of people at Facebook. That wallet is instills all those principles today. Fast forward, obviously Facebook we had a lot of challenges launching this blockchain inside of Facebook. We sought a path forward. We ultimately raised $200 million, led by A16Z and Chris Dixon, with investors like PayPal, Coinbase, Multicoin, and many others. And I moved from New York to the Bay Area. Picked up my family. Well, it was just my wife at the time. Now we have an 18-month-old daughter who you also hung out with. She apologizes for not being able to join the podcast.
The baby OG.
We'll save her. Baby OG will come on the next episode in Dubai, maybe. And here we are, right? It's been such an amazing journry, and it's a good point, right? Like Petra probably surprised you because not that many people heard about us.
No, that's what I mean. We ended up in a restaurant in Paris, and I meeting this guy in front of me, and we were talking about everything. It was for the Olympic Games, and then I opened the wall. He said, "Download this." I download the Petra. And then you spell out the name of Petra, and actually telling everybody what is Petra. Actually, I met a Petra recently, a woman called Petra, and I tell her what was the meaning about it. And she downloaded Petra.
Let's go.
So it was really fast, by the way. You just download it, but it's very also safe, and you don't have to go through all the hurdles of the 12, 24, 48 seed phrase, and then you forget. Oh my gosh.
That's right.
No, Mo, you have a very interesting story. The fact that you always want to make accessible this technology for everybody, and I think so. The fact you come obviously from Pakistan, Abu Dhabi, Brooklyn, all that journey. We were in a dinner yesterday, and I won this award. I didn't expect it, but it was what was the name?
This is heavy, man.
The Web3 Podcaster of the Year, whatever it was.
Congratulations! This is awesome.
But I remember the main reason with the Ferreros. The main reason why I started in crypto is because the M-Pesa video. I was checking with Africa transactions, and then obviously I was sending money to Colombia by these companies, and they were taking my pounds, 10% up to 15%.
Right.
And then I joined the crypto space, Bitcoin, and then I was sending crypto. Actually, my cousin is there. He was one of the first people that sent Ethereum from England to Colombia. But now let's really deep into crypto. Let's get to the formal part. You have an amazing story, working with BlackRock, Consensus, Meta. What else? When people you show them not your credential, but your experience, what keep you passionate about building Aptos, coming to events like Token 2049? What is your main purpose right now in the whole ecosystem? Because I'm sure you're helping a lot of projects within the ecosystem of Aptos, but also people reach out all the time to ask for advice, and you have all this experience working with these massive companies, financial, Web 2, and now Web 3. What are you focusing on right now? What is your purpose? Obviously change all the time.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I would say the answer to that is very simple. And it's embedded in the roots of what Aptos's mission is, right? We want to be able to, we live in a globally connected economy today.
Yeah.
And no different than your cousin being able to send, ETH or Bitcoin or any crypto or digital asset across the world. that even needs to become easier to do. And it needs to be, to your point, simple without having to worry about seed phrases and the complexity that Web3 brings, which is okay, right? Like, I'm sure you probably remember the early days of dial-up internet and trying to get on the internet.
Yeah, it was 128 megabytes per second. That was fast.
You were lucky to get that, by the way. That's really fast for then. But like, even just to get access to the internet, you know, people had to, you couldn't even get access into your home. You had to go to a cafe, you had to go to a library.
Internet,
Like, and even today, you know, some of that is the reality for, you know, some parts of the world. And so, but things have also changed and come a long way. Now, to your point of M-Pesa, a mobile device is available to anybody. And it's, you know, become incredibly cheap to have a smart mobile device or a smartphone. And so now you can do so much more with the knowledge economy. And if you couple that with, you know, the information that's not only available, but digested and synthesized with, you know, things like OpenAI and other AI models, that's going to change the way people can participate. The thing that'll always be difficult, though, is how do you make that global economy connected? If, you know, if I'm asking you for funding to take my my Pakistani idea or my Colombian idea forward, I need money. I need some funding. But I don't want you to give me 90% of it. I want 100% of it, and I don't want to have to wait for 5 days, 6 days, and go through this massive process. And today, you know, if you have USDT on Aptos, which is live, or if you want to send APT, you can fund my project. That can be the M-Pesa of Colombia. Instantly. And you might believe in me because, you know, maybe I know payments, maybe I know my local economy, and maybe it can grow into something, you know, bigger than just my local economy too in Colombia and expand from one city to another. And so this is really powerful because now not only can you write code and be a developer, but you could also be a founder and participate in these global economies. And so, you know, going back to the mission, right? If we live in a globally connected economy, which is what we want to help bring to life, we also want to make sure that money moves incredibly efficiently in that global economy.
And going back a little bit to Meta, and obviously everybody was excited about it when the idea about Libre it came, but obviously it was a big project, you know, because it's scalability, security, but then it's the regulatory part. That's the more difficult part right now. I see many projects are investing a lot of their raise capital into compliance regulation lawyers. So what do you think is the most challenge to build right now any layer one, you know? Is it scalability, security, or regulatory, or all of them?
I mean, I would say it's probably all of those things. But maybe I'll start with one of the grounding principles for us, right? Like when you design a system like Bitcoin, it's designed with very clear first principles. This is the network to create this asset, and this network will not change, right? Like Bitcoin does not change.
Never,
and that is what people love about it, right? And so if you are investing in that asset, if you're spending time in that ecosystem, you know the Bitcoin ecosystem is designed to be very stable, safe, secure, and provide that structure. Ethereum was designed with a very different set of principles, smart contracts, making programmable money come to life. And today, what we haven't seen is programmable money move really fast, really efficiently. And that's what we're focused on, scalability. And in order to do that, we realized at Facebook, well, we need to support, how many people are there for WhatsApp, Instagram, and Messenger?
It's 5 billion, I don't know.
4 billion.
4 billion,
yeah, half the world. And so if you want 4 billion people to use this, right? If you and I are chatting in WhatsApp and I'm like, hey, Andres, send me some, help me out, man. Right? Like you should be able to do that instantly. And if 3 other billion people are doing the same thing, transacting or, you know, purchasing or whatever they're sharing, they should not be interrupted. And so now you have a network that can actually do that for the first time. And it's a network that's even more powerful than the payments networks that exist. So scalability definitely matters. But the other thing is scalability is not defined by today. Imagine 4 billion people are using this network, but next year it's so popular that the next 1 billion people have smartphones all over the world and they want to use this network. We will have to be able to push the network forward and do upgrades to the network. And so there is this sense of future proof and evolution that's required for this network. And so our technical team, we have 25 PhDs on our team.
Oh my gosh.
We have one of the best, we have the best engineering team when it comes to networking, not even just protocol, not even just blockchains. We're pushing research. And so consensus mechanisms forward. We're pushing, we created our own smart contract language called Move. Last week, actually 2 weeks ago in Korea, we just announced Move 2, which is the next version of this language. And so as we change the way the consensus works or how Move works, this will allow for this network to continue to evolve so that 5 billion, 6 billion, or maybe one day 9 billion people can use this network. I mean, if Elon Musk is right, we should be able to use this network across different planets one day, right?
One day, yeah.
We need to be an interplanetary network.
Yeah,
and so this is something that is very, very difficult to achieve. I'll get to the regulation point, but we've already started proving this. We did 50 AIPs in the first year, no downtime whatsoever. We did 5 major upgrades to the protocol, no downtime, and we did 40 or over 40 AIPs or improvements to the protocol this year. So if you think about that, no protocol is pushing this level of change without having disruption. We have no disruption and no performance degradation. And that gives us, an amazing ecosystem to be able to do things. Now, on the regulatory front, which is the fun stuff, the regulatory world is evolving, right? Like no different than when gold became a thing that people traded, to new forms of money, to public equity and capital markets. Regulation eventually created, clarity on how to use these assets or participate in these ecosystems. We're seeing positives. We had not seen that in the last 10 years because this technology was so new. No different than no one knew how to govern the internet. Today, we know how to somewhat govern the internet, but it still somewhat remains as an open permissionless network. These assets that are tokens within these protocols that allow for governance, right? If I want to make an upgrade, maybe Andres has something to say about that. You can't do that in the internet. You can't participate in Google Cloud's cloud infrastructure update, right? Good luck. Tokens allow you to do that.
Okay.
And that's really powerful. That gives democracy, it makes this network much more democratic, right? Someone in Colombia, someone in London, someone in New York can all say, this is how we want to participate, or this is how the network should evolve. And ideally be aligned incentively as well. Governance models are evolving. We see regulators you're in Dubai, Abu Dhabi Global Markets is providing a lot of clarity. We're sitting in Singapore right now. Singapore's starting to provide a lot of clarity. We're seeing progress in other East Asian markets, and even in the US, we're very optimistic. I sit on the CFTC Digital Asset Committee, so the regulator for commodities. And I'm the only L1 founder that's on that committee.
Amazing.
And so we're very excited about the progress that's being made. Now, do I wish that happened yesterday? Of course. Yes. But I think what regulators are focusing on is making sure if they implement something, they do it in a right way, in a safe way, and it protects everyone from participating. So if you're building a protocol, if you're building products that use blockchains, or if you're launching tokens, I think you have to think about all of these things. And we're very proud that Aptos provides this ecosystem where you don't have to worry about that. So if you want to launch a product on Aptos or token on Aptos, you're going to you should be rest assured that not only will you have safety and security and scalability, but you'll also be working with a protocol that's doing the right things for the long run.
Wow. So I've been interviewing a couple of my good friends as well from other layer ones. Look, when somebody wants to join a layer one as a developer, it's extremely challenging because there's so many talent out there. They may be working in layer 2 or now they're working in web 2 and web 3, but that people's already taken, right? But there's so many young talent that live in universities, they're very good programmers, or even they're just starting from home, codes, right?
Right.
And obviously, with the more developers that we have, the understanding the technology and doing it the right way, it will be better for adoption. But translating that code, developing into daily solutions for normal people that don't understand how everything works behind the computers is extremely difficult. If a developer wants to come into Aptos and build on it and don't have experience into Web3 or blockchain, what is like the thing that he or she need to look for? How they can reach out to you guys? Because the more developers are in the ecosystem will be better for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent point. I think, we're very excited about the developers in the ecosystem. I would maybe just start up with like a broad response to this where, if you look at all the new companies, all the large companies that are out there, they were all startups at one point. Yeah. Whether it was Google to Tesla. And these were founders that were brave enough, that had the courage to go out and try to disrupt different places. Yeah. And so where are those great developers today?
You are the group developer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're just one, but you might have a great community of developers that follow you for advice, right? Because you're sharing what's being built in the entire ecosystem. And so, if you have ambitions of like, well, I think I can do something different and do it in a way where it changes this entire industry, we love to chat with those people that have these amazing visions and dreams. And we can provide a lot of raw horsepower with not only the best engineering team here in the Bay Area, but we can also connect you with a globally connected group of developers building in the Aptos ecosystem. Our goal is to find the best developers. And that doesn't mean you may write the best code. We of course would love that, but we can help support that because we come from Facebook. But and we say that very humbly, by the way. Our goal is to like help educate the next generation, right? Not everyone is fortunate to have access to Facebook level talent. We want to make that available to everyone, right? That is, and we're bringing people over to New York, to our New York office. We incubated projects in our Palo Alto office. So if you're good and you're sitting in, parts of Latin America or in continental Africa or somewhere in East or South Asia, we will bring you to us. And so that is really like no one I think offers that capability. But the cool thing about that is like, luckily I'm not doing this by myself. We have great partners that we work with, whether it's some of the exchange partners that we're running accelerators with, like OKX, to even, your audience. What do you have, like 5 bazillion followers? This trophy means something, right? So like, if you have developers in your community, like we'd love to chat with them. And the one thing I would say too is, if you're a builder, I think in today's environment, there are some new ideas, but new ideas are really, really hard. I think execution is the biggest differentiator. I mean, look at Mark Zuckerberg, right? It's like a perfect example. A social network wasn't a new idea. MySpace existed. There were many more that existed before then. But what Mark did that was something special is he was able to kind of iterate very rapidly, build a much more interesting go-to-market strategy and a better user experience. So much so that he was like, I don't even need to go to school right now. I want to focus on this. And so you need an engineer, a developer, a builder, an entrepreneur that can say, I think I can do this better. And there's so many people in like our histories that have done that, right? Whether it's Jeff Bezos to Zuck to Elon, right? How dare someone say, I'm going to build electric cars completely from scratch in my own factory? And look at that today.
And he did it. I will drive it sometimes. Well, something interesting, I have a couple of more questions, but something that's interesting about you is like, you are building this massive layer one. Obviously you have a team, but let's talk about your family and your time. How you, because I saw the last 3 or 4 times I've seen you always with your family, which is amazing. It's very difficult to find people in crypto or blockchain, whatever you want to call it, that with the families, right? How you manage to do the CEO, co-founder, and then be with your baby, your wife? How you manage that? Because probably you always see all these people in Singapore talking to foreign, but they're in their 20s, single, they have a lot of time, and it's kind of not easy for them, but they have a little bit more of time than us. How you do it?
I mean, just to be clear, if I was 20 and single, I would be one of those people too. No comment. Don't cut that out. Nah, you can leave that in. I'm sure my wife, if she was 20 and single, would probably be, partying too, right? Luckily, I think my wife is very patient, and she does kind of she's open to exploring with me. And one of the things that I think is really important in lives, and if you have a family too, is exposure, right? And so how do you learn? You learn by being in different environments, in different settings, in different scenarios, right? Like if you just sit in a bubble, like you're just going to have experiences of that bubble. So you want to open up that bubble as much as possible. And I tried. The reason I'm willing to go to, it's hard flying with a baby on a flight, just to be clear. But
or in the Olympic Games when the rain is coming.
We were sitting down. It was pouring, and we were jumping up and down in our seats, still having fun. And she had a good time. My daughter had a great time. But like that just, I think, builds resilience. It kind of like it's an education system that no school can ever provide. And I think I'm willing to put up with the hard work, and so is my wife, just to be very clear, probably more so than me.
Yeah.
To kind of roll with that and do it for the next generation, right? Like if that generation is gonna be better than us, no doubt about it. And all we can do is put them in positions to, be exposed to as many different things as possible. So that helps. I kind of don't leave my family behind. I bring them with me. Now, if I go out tonight with you, I'm probably not going to bring them to the club, but
yeah, if it's allowed.
But I will, put my daughter down, and then I'll probably, go out after. So I try to manage, and it's never perfect, but having flexibility, I think, and having the right partners go a long way.
It's amazing. Having great partners and great team as well.
100%.
So, and I want more to wrap up, Mo. Look, something that I seen, obviously starting from Satoshi Nakamoto when he built the Bitcoin network, and also with Vitaly, with Charles, and you, people that are building ecosystems or communities or technology, they never think about the prices of the token, but they never think about how is the crypto space doing right now.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's a very numbers-driven market right now, right? Everybody look at the price, up, down, whatever. The economy is changing very dramatically, especially now. This year has been, and obviously I say all of this here, no financial advice, do your own research, but I want to see your thoughts from your personal point of view. I'm not going to ask you what is the price of Bitcoin next year, are you going to do 100K or 20K, but how you see it as a builder, ecosystem, how important is having that knowledge about the whole market, and how involved do you think about it on a daily basis, or you didn't even check the charts?
It's a really interesting topic, and I think if someone says they don't look at token price, I think they would probably not be telling the truth. Just to be very clear, right? Like, I think you have to pay attention to what's happening in Bitcoin, in Ethereum, in other ecosystems, and I think it's important to do that, right? Like, if you look at companies across the world, they're constantly benchmarking with what's happening, right? That's like saying, I don't look at interest rates.
Yeah.
Well, would you want to work with someone that doesn't look at interest rates? I don't count my money, I just blow it. Like, what do you mean?
Yes.
And so I think it's really important to pay attention to the full picture.
Yeah.
And while we cannot predict what the macro is going to look like, we do know what the macro factors are. Whether it be, what happens in the global economy based on U.S. interest rates, UK, or even Japanese interest rates. Those have, we're in a globally connected economy, so of course they have impact. So we pay attention to everything, and I think it's important. But the most important thing for me as I'm building Aptos is to not pay too much attention to it, right? And the reason for that is, like, I remember when, in 2016, like, where was Ethereum?
Yeah, $8, I can't remember.
No one cared about Ethereum. It was all Bitcoin. It was all Bitcoin. And today the world is very different.
Yeah.
So no one really knows about Aptos.
Yes. Oh. But I knew it in the nightclub in Paris. I went. And did something so magic.
And that's how I learned about Ethereum at a coffee shop, right? Like, and here we are today with Ethereum, and like, what an amazing and beautiful ecosystem. And I think where Aptos is today is just the start of something very powerful and special. And you got a taste of that.
Yeah, I did a big taste.
And my biggest complaint from Andreas is I didn't give him enough APT. He says that very publicly, so I got to fix that somehow. I think it was like 1 APT I sent you.
Yeah. But I have to buy myself. It's okay. I used to send a lot of Satoshis in 2016 to my friends, like $5-10 to prove that it was working.
Yeah.
I sent probably $1,000 worth of Satoshi in 2016.
Damn, I should have been your friend back then.
Yeah, I
know. But where Aptos is today is kind of that same place, right? Like, people are just starting to hear about us. They're starting to cover us. They're excited because they also see we're working with some amazing large companies.
Yeah.
And that has been untapped, right? So, again, 2 weeks ago, we just announced a partnership with Libre. Libre is a Brevin Howard company that's doing a digital asset tokenization. And they're launching 3 funds on Aptos. A BlackRock fund, a Hamilton Lane fund, and a Brevin Howard fund. All 3 of those will be on Aptos now.
Wow.
So, like, now you have and asset management is measured in trillions of dollars. So when that starts to move over to a blockchain, they're going to look for the best network possible.
Yeah.
And we are right there as the top performing network in the world.
Well done. Oh, this is great news to bring in crypto years.
That's right.
Mo, thank you so much for your time. I know you are a very busy CEO, but also father, and I will let you go to enjoy the time with your beautiful family. And please, guys, you're watching this, go and give a follow to Mo on Twitter. What is your Twitter handle?
Mo Shakes.
Mo Shakes. And also, obviously, Aptos. Keep it very close. This is not financial advice, but I'm very bullish in Aptos. Thank you so much for that.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye-bye.